companies that travel across the country, and they come here and they set up either at the beginning of the week or on the morning of the show, and they build their set and they perform here, and then they move on to a different venue, either the next day or later on in the week. So we have two different types of show here. As we go around the theatre, what you'll see is all of the things that go into making the shows that we create here. And we call that season the Made in Colchester season. And the idea with that season is that we make shows here, and then we tour them around other theatres in the country if we can arrange that with other theatre companies, with producers who pick up the shows and arrange tours for them across the country. Has anyone been to other theatres? Has everyone been to the theatre before? So just to check, yeah, brilliant, okay. So this is our main stage auditorium. Can anyone guess how many seats we have in this auditorium? 400? 1,000? Less than 1,000, more than 400?
Is it 600? 700?
Less than 600, 700.
500?
500, perfect. Well, almost anyway. So we've got 400, we could have a capacity of 499 seats in this auditorium. We've got a few less because if you look on the end of the rows, this row that I'm stood in and the row that you're sat in, we have wheelchair positions, which take out a couple of seats because a wheelchair takes up 2 seats at a time. And then we've got a sound desk at the back of the theatre there, at the back of the auditorium, and that also takes out some of the seats that we can sell. So we've got less than 499 seats. If we had more than 499 seats, we'd have to have a different license, which would mean that we would have to have different facilities or a different level of facilities outside, which essentially in real terms means we have to have more toilets for everyone. This theatre is the same design as the Salisbury Playhouse. This one was built first. It was built in 1972, and the money from this theatre was raised by businesses and the local community. So this is very much a community theatre, and that's part of the reason why we call our season of work Made in Colchester. This is all about the work that's created here, and then the talent that's sort of exported to the rest of the country. That's really what we're all about. Does anyone have any questions? Yeah?
So, what's through that tiny curtain?
What's through the tiny curtain down there? I don't know, we can have a look in a moment actually. I haven't explored.
Do you go through the curtain?
You can go through most of the curtains on stage, yeah. But this one down here I haven't seen before. So we might have to have a look at that.
Do you use dry ice?
We do sometimes, yeah. We use dry ice, and sometimes we also have kind of a ticker tape effect that we use at the end of shows as well. We can shower the stage in ticker tape just to kind of make it all
Is the
sparkly.
dry ice the dramatic entrances?
Dramatic entrances, dramatic effects, and also it creates a really nice effect with when the lights are on as well. And it hides the back of the stage. So if you have dry ice across the stage, it means that people can't necessarily see actors coming on at the back of the stage. Sometimes there are situations where too much dry ice is let out, and so if too much dry ice is let out into the auditorium, then the audience can't actually see who's on stage or what sort of lines they're delivering, which doesn't happen very often, but I have seen it in other theatres, and it does look disastrous when it does happen. I was mentioning a moment ago that we have kind of a twin theatre, which is the Salisbury Playhouse, which was built after us. So it was built using the same plans by the same architect, a guy called Norman Downey, and the Salisbury Playhouse is actually built the other way around. So the entrance that you came in would actually be the back of the theatre, where all of the set and scenery is brought in. And then the back of the theatre, which we'll see a little bit later on, that's actually the front of the theatre of the Salisbury Playhouse. And apparently the main confusion for our staff going to the Salisbury Playhouse is the toilets are on the other side. So the ladies are where the gents are where the ladies are. So our staff always have to be careful when they go to the Salisbury Playhouse to make sure they go in the right toilets. What you'll notice just down here at the front of the stage, there's kind of a dip, and we'll see it more closely in a moment, but that's where the musical director would sit. And the musical director controls all of the musicians, and our musical director for this show has actually composed all of the music. So it's quite a huge job, and he's been doing that for weeks and weeks and weeks. In fact, a lot of the work that you see around you, even though it's very kind of quiet, peaceful at the moment, director. So the musical director is sat down here at the front, and he is separated from the band, which are on the two turrets on the stage left and right areas there. So given that he's separate from those musicians and he needs to conduct them during each show, how do you think he would do that? How do you think he conducts the band? What's that? Batter? Not quite. You're going to say that? Well, he still conducts them, but what he has is he's got a camera on here, and then there are two monitors on either side of the auditorium, and actually they have his face and his upper body on, so the band can look over to those monitors at any point in time, and they can see what he's doing, so they can take lead from him. Sometimes, particularly with musical touring shows, it's too expensive to get lots of musicians in to tour with the show. So what they will do is, in the early stages of preparing the show, they'll pre-record some of the music, and then they'll have a smaller live band, and they'll feed in the pre-recorded click tracks, they're called, in with the live music, and it gives you kind of a fuller sound. It tricks you into thinking that the band is much bigger than it is. If you look behind you, you can see our sound desk there in the centre of the back rows, and then above that, we've actually got a box, a lighting and sound box above it, tucked into the wall there, and that's where usually all of the sound and lighting would be operated from. Sometimes the companies like to bring the desk in so they get a better sense of the sound in the auditorium itself, and usually when they're going through tech rehearsals, there'll be someone operating the desk, and sound number 2, which is their sort of professional title, they'll be walking around the auditorium, checking what the sound is like in different parts of the auditorium to make sure the volume is right. To the left and right of the sound and lighting box, they're in complete darkness at the moment. We've got huge lights up there, one in each window, and those are called follow spots. Can anyone tell me what follow spots do? Someone have their hand? No. Yeah, okay, for your enthusiasm.
They follow the characters to illuminate them.
Perfect, yeah. So what are you going to say, Tom?
When the other lights are down.
Perfect. Not necessarily when the other lights are down. Dimmed, possibly, yes. What sometimes happens with pantomimes is because there are so many shows, the actors get so used to performing it that they start to play tricks on other members of the cast, or they start to sort of try to reinvent the performance for themselves just to keep it exciting and new. And so they might do different things in different performances. And what's useful during those moments is that if an actor walks right instead of left at a certain point in time, the follow spot person can follow them on stage, whereas if they were just lit by a fixed light, then they might walk right and then be in relative darkness, so you wouldn't be able to see their face. So the idea with the follow spots for this show is to follow the main actors across the stage to keep them illuminated so you can always see them. And most of the big shows, big West End shows, that also have follow spots constantly lighting the main characters that the director wants you to see. And all of this back here is controlled by a stage manager who sits over on this side of the stage, behind that black panel there, and they have some cams on, which are basically headphones and a sort of a microphone set, and they can communicate with everyone up there, and they can communicate with all of the people around in the backstage area, and also the people up in the fly tower. We'll see a bit more of that in a moment. But they basically have a script. The stage manager has a script in front of them with all of the cues marked up, and they will speak the cues, so Q36 or LXQ36, and then when that lighting change needs to happen, they'll say go, and that's when the person up there hits Q36 button or fades Q36 up, and that happens. So all of that kind of magic of sound and lighting comes together between over there behind the scenes and up there behind where you're sat. Yeah.
How do you get onto the stage?
How do you get?
Trapdoors.
Yeah, we do have trapdoors, and you'll have seen some of them during the show actually. But there's also an entrance through to the back of the stage which you can go through, and we'll have a walk around the back of the stage as well in a moment. Does anyone have any